Hello, third grade.
Hi, second grade.
Welcome to Baking with the Rodriguezes.
So Miss Rodriguez and I are going to start a new weekly routine of doing a little baking show for you. Something that you can do at home. You can impress your family and make something kind of fun and creative for dessert. You know, we like to bake a lot. So this is going to be super fun for us too, because guess what? We get to eat it all. Oh! With your ingredients. The very first ingredient you're going to need is some type of sandwich cookie. They don't have to be Oreos, but these are my personal favorite, so we're going to start with real Oreo cookies to start.
The thing you're going to need is some instant chocolate pudding. We use the Jello brand, but you don't have to use that either. Just make sure it's instant chocolate pudding, and you only need one box.
Our next ingredient is milk. I use 2% milk, but you can use anything that you have at home, or if you prefer whole milk or 1%, whatever, it all works. You're gonna need 3 cups of this milk, and we'll get to that as soon as we start making our pudding.
We're gonna need some whipped cream, or the cheap version of whipped cream, which is whipped topping. That's what we got, because, you know, saving some money. Remember, you can't use the spray one, though. You're gonna have to get the one in the little tubs.
Okay, so we're gonna start by making the instant Jello. This is really, really simple. You're just gonna pour the Jello into a big mixing bowl. It's like a little powder. Make sure you get all your trash together there. And then we're gonna use this cup measure. So this goes up to 1 cup. You can see right there, it says 1 cup or 8 ounces. It's the same amount, 1 cup. But we're gonna need 3 of these. So I'll fill that up to that line. See how it's all the way up to that line? I'm gonna put in 1 cup. We're gonna do it again. Again, it's to the line. Cup number 2. And 1 more cup to that line. Cup number 3. I'm gonna get these things out of the way, and then we're gonna take, I have metal whisks that I like to use just because they're a little bit faster, but you can use plastic whisks, or you can just use a spoon if you'd rather. And you're just gonna mix this all together carefully at first, because the milk is very liquidy, and you don't want it to splash everywhere. So you do it a little bit slow until it all mixes in. Mix it, mix it, mix it, and then you can start speeding up just a little bit so that you make sure that all those dry clumps go away. I like to spin my bowl to get off the sides. You can see it kind of attaches to the side of the bowl. Just give it a good whisk for a little while. All right, you'll start to notice that the pudding itself is starting to get kind of thick. It's not as watery anymore, it's not as liquidy anymore, so it's starting to sit up just a little bit. This is perfect. You're gonna stop whisking this, and you're gonna put this into your refrigerator for about 20 minutes or so, just to make sure that it sets up nice and firm before we start making our parfait cups.
Next step, so while Miss Rodriguez was making the pudding, I counted out about 20 Oreos, and I put them in a Ziploc bag. As you can see, I left a tiny little hole on the side for the air so the whole bag doesn't pop on me, because that'd be kind of funny. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this meat tenderizer to smack these Oreos. So if you're angry a little bit, there you go, get it out. And if the camera wants to like really see these Oreos being smushed over here, now, also, if you don't have one of these cool meat tenderizers at home, you can also use a rolling pin. I know your mom's gonna have a rolling pin. Get that rolling pin out, and you just roll across the Oreos to crush them. So when we're done, you should have a nice, cool little bowl full of Oreo crumbs. Notice how we use the pug bowl, because pugs are lovely.
Okay guys, so our pudding's been sitting in the fridge for a while. You can see it's nice and firm. We're gonna bring it over to the counter, and because this is a chocolate mousse, not just a chocolate pudding, we have to add Cool Whip to the pudding. So that container of Cool Whip, you can see I divided it kind of in half. I'm gonna take about half of that Cool Whip out and we're gonna put it right inside the pudding. Take all of that from in there, make sure that we're getting about half. Looks good, yes? I think so.
I think it looks delicious.
All right. So we're gonna take that in, and unfortunately, my Cool Whip was still a little bit frozen, but that's okay. Because once it starts getting stirred in, it'll start to melt itself down, and you'll start to notice a change in the color of the pudding. Because we're adding the white Cool Whip, that dark, rich brown color starts to get a little bit lighter. We're making what's called a mousse. It's just a chocolate dessert, but it's lighter than that super heavy chocolate. We're gonna stir that around until it gets all blended in together. All right, and you'll start to notice it's getting really nice and creamy. And we are just about ready to start building our parfaits. So we're gonna need some cups and those wonderful cookies that Miss Rodriguez crushed up. And we're gonna start putting this together so you can see what they look like.
Now it's time for some assembly to put everything together. So I've laid out here 5 cups, as you can see. I'm gonna start out with some Oreos. Now what's cool about assembly of these is you can add as much as you want. Just remember that if you're gonna put a lot of pudding, you might have to make another box of it. Just be generous, but also know that you don't have all of it. So I'm gonna start with some Oreos. I am gonna use about 3 spoonfuls of Oreos. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, and 3. I'm gonna do it all down the line here. 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. There we go. I just use a regular plastic spoon on that one. Then I'm gonna go make sure all of these are kind of set a little bit. And then I'm gonna go with the mousse. Now the mousse, we have a much bigger spoon. So I'm gonna do maybe 1 to 2 spoonfuls of this. And I'm gonna bring the cup to the thing so I don't drop it everywhere. So I'm gonna get 1. And do a second one. Oh yeah, that looks good. Do that for all of them. 1. All right, so now each of these cups should have 2 layers. You can see I have 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. On to the next layer. All right, guys, so for the last step, we're just gonna add Cool Whip to the top of all of these. Remember that Cool Whip that we used half of it to make the pudding? You're gonna take the other half, make sure that it's nice and blended together so you don't have big clumps. And then you're just gonna take like a spoonful of Cool Whip and you're gonna just kind of plop it right into the middle of each of these cups. And it doesn't have to be anything fancy or pretty, it's just tasty, so it doesn't really matter how gorgeous it is. We're gonna put a little bit on each one of these. And then we're gonna finish them off with a little garnish. And a garnish is just a big fancy word. Just means an extra layer of something on the top to make it cuter, basically. So I have this kind of cool tool that I can use on chocolate bars that kind of make these little curly cute things happen. So I made some of those and I'm gonna put just a few. I'm just gonna kind of sprinkle them on top. See how it's just a cute little addition? It's not for any particular purpose, it's just cute. You can also use the rest of those Oreos that you crushed up and you can also sprinkle those on top if you'd rather do that, kind of give it an idea of what's underneath with a little hint on the top. And that's it. There you have it. You have now made your very own chocolate parfaits. I hope you enjoy. I sure am enjoying it.